What's up, guys? We are back with another NECA Toys review, taking a look at the first of the Walmart exclusive 2-packs when it comes to TMNT. We are, of course, talking about the 1990 movie Casey Jones and RAPHAEL in Disguise 2-pack, the kind of hot button toy release of the day. I was very lucky to be able to score these online, and here we are. So we've got them here in what is going to be, it seems, the standard 2-pack format for the line at Walmart. So you've got Casey, you've got Raph in Disguise in the big window, and then you've got more of that continuation of the 1990 poster artwork theme. So the Turtles logo from that movie, you've got them popping out of the manhole cover. We've got artwork on the sides for the figures. Mine was unfortunately split down the middle when it came out of the case packet scenes. And then the back has a bunch of product shots of the Turtles done up with the NECA figures. You've got the old FHE logo done up as NECA logo this time around. And then we've got product shots for Casey and Raph and all of their accessories here. So let's do it. Let's pull them out and take a look. And here we go, out of the package, we have got our Casey Jones and we've got our RAPHAEL in Disguise from NECA Toys from the near perfect 1990 TMNT movie. So obviously these guys are very hotly anticipated. I would say one more than another. Obviously, Casey Jones is clearly the star of this show, but I think there's a lot of cool stuff going on here with Raph as well. But we're going to take a look at them individually because they are very, very different figures. So we're going to take a look at Casey first, and then we will get to our trench-coated green friend. So as far as articulation goes, as far as moving Casey around, there is some interesting stuff here. And we will get to what has been, at least from my experience on social media, since this guy has sort of been out there, is the controversial joint when it comes to this figure. So we've got a head that can look up about that far. Of course, he does have these flowing locks, so they do get in the way. He can look down really, really good. You've got some tilt action. And then you've got full rotation. He does rub at the shoulders or at the clavicle area, but it's not too bad. Arms go out. They rotate all the way around. You have no bicep swivel, but these have those telltale NECA double-jointed elbows. And this is the thing that people keep complaining about. And frankly, I'm not too sure that they're unfounded because they do look weird. But I should note that they're also in the package kind of odd because they're a double rotating. Mostly they're in the package like this where you see the hinges, and that's not necessarily how they're supposed to be, so you can kind of hide them a little bit and make it look a little bit better. It's maybe still kind of an odd joint. It's certainly not normal, but this is stuff that's pretty common with NECA. We see it with Aliens, we see it with Predator a lot, so I'm not too surprised that we got this. They are quite functional. I mean, he's got pretty good range of motion because of it, and you have rotation at the top and the bottom of the wrist. So at the bottom of the bicep and the top of the forearm. So they may not be the most attractive joint, but they are definitely functional. You've got hinges at the wrist, and they are both lateral hinges, so side to side, and then you've got rotation. At the torso and waist is where we have kind of an issue because he has the shirt and the jacket over top of him, so it really negates a lot of articulation. And there is articulation under here. There is a torso cut underneath this shirt, and there is a waist twist, so you can make him twist, but actually using the torso cut is really, really, really difficult. The diaphragm cut, rather, I should say. So he can go forward about that far, and he goes backwards a little bit. There's not a whole lot of tilt side to side, but he can rotate. You do have to worry about the shirt, though, because it's not tight, but it's not loose either, and it's rubbery, so it's going to kind of drag along the legs. So he's got some articulation, but it may take a little bit more work than normal to get him to do stuff. Legs go out about that far, about all the way. You can get him to do almost the splits. They go forward pretty much all the way. Again, you've got rubbery pieces at the crotch that are kind of getting in the way. They kick backwards a little bit. There is a twist at the thigh. We've got single jointed rotating knees, and then you've got hinges, and you've got rocker down at the ankles. I was surprised to see hinges down here. I was expecting kind of telltale NECA ball pegs, but I'm happy to see hinges down there. They definitely add to stability with this guy. So he's kind of standard. Like, this isn't exactly anything crazy for NECA. Like, I don't think it's anything out of left field as far as how he's constructed. For some reason, I think some folks are maybe concerned about these elbows. They're kind of wonky looking on a human, I think. They work really well on Predators and Aliens. I'm not so sure it translates perfectly here, but it does work really well. My big sticking point is just trying to get him to crunch and to get him to hinge backwards a little bit. It is a little bit of work, and it takes a little bit more doing than your average figure. But ultimately for me, the big thing, and you know where I'm going with this most likely if you watch my stuff, is the look and the feel and how this guy meshes with the other figures in the line. And I think he looks fantastic. That's really where it's at for me, is the overall design, the sculpt, and the paint applications on this figure, because there is a lot of little detail crammed into this guy, from all of the wrinkles that are on this jean vest, which has a nice wash on it to make it look, you know, kind of that telltale Casey Jones dirty, grimy look. His white shirt, which has a great deal of wash on it to give more of that grime and grit. And then you've got the musculature, the veins sculpted in the arms. You've got hair on the forearms, which has a little bit of a wash to bring out that sculpt. And then you've got Casey Jones telltale fingerless gloves. We've got his sweatpants down here, which do look really good. The gray on them is thick, is a good way to say it. Like it's really a rich, deep color, and the texture on these pants is really well done. It kind of gives a like a fuzzy sweatpants look and feel to it. Not necessarily to the touch, but you get what I mean. Once you have it in hand, you'll understand what I'm talking about. And then you've got a little bit of his socks peeking through down here of the top of his shoes, and then of course you've got the sneakers done up in a really, really rich black. And I just like the way this figure looks. I mean, they've been firing on all cylinders when it comes to this line, from the Turtles to the Foot to Shredder. You know, there's all sorts of fantastic stuff, and Casey's going to mesh with that really well. He's got that same aesthetic, same feel, and I mean, ultimately it looks like this guy jumped right out of the screen. And of course, a big part of that is what's going on up top, because, I mean, the mask is iconic, to say the least. So as far as the head sculpt up here, we have got some interesting stuff going on, because for the longest time we were told that we were not getting a unmasked head sculpt with this figure because Elias Koteas did not sign on for his likeness rights. So we have a technically non-removable mask. This thing is not meant to be removed easily. However, what we found recently is that there is a fully sculpted head under here, and we've since learned that Elias Koteas is on for what looks like a possible future unmasked Casey Jones head. So there is a head under there. My man Does Machines 84 on Instagram took the plunge and ripped it off of his figure to find out. He does a lot of custom stuff, and he found out that the head is under there. Got really crisp and clean eyes, and you've got kind of the paint around the eyes to make it look really, really dark under there. I think the mask is sculpted incredibly well. The hair looks really good. I mean, it's all about the mask for me. I'm not too upset by the fact that the mask isn't meant to come off. I mean, I suppose I could do it if I wanted, but I would just end up destroying my figure, because at the end of the day, if I only had one Casey Jones, he's always going to have his mask on. I will certainly get an unmasked figure down the line if they do release him, but for my intents and purposes, this is how I want him displayed for the most part, just because, I mean, this is Casey Jones to me. He may not wear this mask for too long in the movie, but this is how he looks, and I think they did a great job. The sculpt on the mask is fantastic. Everything about the head sculpt just exudes that Casey Jones look and feel, and if we ultimately get a second reissue of this figure with an unmasked head sculpt, I'm all for a second go. Now for our green friend here, this guy is, of course, a reissue. We've already seen this figure before, so this is the same Raphael that we've already had. There's nothing really different here, but there is a lot different here because he's wearing a trench coat and he has a backpack on. So there's a lot more going on with this figure, and of course it does get in the way of his articulation to some degree. Not necessarily as much as I expected, really. So we've got a head that can look up, he can look down, actually really far. You've still got a little bit of tilt on him, and then you've got full rotation, of course. You do have your arms, they go out at the shoulders. They do rotate, but you will have to deal with the sleeves in there. So, you know, kind of watch how you're doing it. You can get them to go, I don't know, pretty far up. Just watch the jacket. You don't want to tear it. And it's a jacket, it's going to do that. It's not necessarily a negative here. We've got our single jointed rotating elbow that's in there. And then you've got your wrist with a hinge, and then you've got rotation as well. He still has that same kind of internal articulation in the shell. It's even harder to use here. And then, you know, you've got, we can kind of show you a little bit here. Legs kick forward. The shell always gets in the way. I mean, it always does. And then they kick backwards slightly. There is a thigh cut. They do go out about that far. And then you can do your double jointed knees, which still are hindered by the knee pads, but I'm glad we have them. And then you've got rotation in there as well. You've also got your rocker, and then you've got your hinges down to his ankles. So if you're familiar with the Turtles already, then this is no surprise. You're not missing anything here. You know exactly what's going on. The jacket does get in the way, but honestly not all that much. It's surprisingly fluid because I think there is a lot of room in this thing. It does make him look a little puffy, but at the same time, he also looked huge in the movie when he had it on. So I don't think it really causes a problem there. And the backpack doesn't really seem to get in the way either. It sits high up enough on him that it doesn't really seem to bother anything. So despite the fact that he's covered in fabric, I think he still moves pretty well and pretty comparably to his original figure. Now, just like with Casey, the big thing for me with this figure, and I mean, let's be honest at this point, the entire line, the aesthetics are the 100% most important thing for me when it comes to this line, because I want my turtles looking as perfect and as screen accurate as possible. And this guy is just really fantastic at this scale. This is the 1/4 scale figure that I don't have. I did not get the 1/4 scale Trenchcoat Raph because at the time I didn't feel like I needed him, and I'm hoping at this point they do a reissue because I would buy him now. But this guy looks so good at this scale. I was really worried that the Trenchcoat was going to make him look overly puffy and overly, just huge, but it really doesn't. Obviously, it does make him look a little bit bigger. But at the same time, it doesn't really do a whole lot that's different from the movie because he does look really big when he's got that coat on. So it's not to be unexpected here. It fits him really well. The feel of this fabric is really nice. Like, it feels a little bit more premium than I was expecting. This is definitely not, just the normal kind of soft goods you would get on, any standard figure for a cape or anything like that. As far as the handful of NECA toys that I have with soft goods, which is very few, this is much, much better fabric. Definitely a more premium feel. You can remove this. I am not going to because it's never coming off of him. It's just got a little belt on here. You can take the whole thing off if you wanted to, if you had the patience to do that. But I think it looks fantastic. I mean, it looks exactly like it should. The color on it is really good, and just the overall details as far as the buttons, the buttonholes, the belt, the little fringes that hang off of it, everything look fantastic. The same with this little backpack, like the rucksack backpack. I think it looks really nice. There is a good bit of wash all over it, kind of dry brushing to make it look a little worn and distressed, and it hangs on him really well. Again, it kind of rides up on him, so it doesn't really hinder his articulation. But again, that's kind of what it did in the movie as well. And then, of course, we know what's going on with this figure. We know the telltale TMNT movie quality when it comes to NECA stuff. So this looks just like the other figure. Fantastic sculpt, great paint. Again, I don't want to say it too many times, but it looks like it jumped right out of the movie. And the eyes on this one are really straight and clean. The teeth are looking really good. And then you've got the bandana, which has the the bandana that's actually going down into the collar. And there are options with this figure, but I think he looks fantastic. I really have no issues with the overall aesthetics here. My one big worry was that all of this extra stuff was going to make him just look huge, and it definitely does not. He really looks just like the movie representation of the character. Now, as far as accessories goes, this set is incredibly stacked, more than I thought. I expected there to be a lot, but it's still more than I thought there were going to be. So we're going to start with Casey, and he's got his bag on him, so you can throw that around his shoulder, and it holds every single one of his, we'll say, weapons, all of his weapons. So we're going to go through them real quick. And I'm assuming I know what all of these are. Some of them are for some reason throwing me a loop. I'm not sports bro, I'm toy bro. So we've got a cricket bat here. I know what a crumpet is, so I know what a cricket bat is. You've got that. We have got our hockey stick. We've got, what is this, a goalie stick, right? There's a goalie stick. This thing's massive. This is really big. And then we've got a golf club, and this really, really makes me want to tattoo something fierce. This is kind of flimsy, so I'm going to tell you to be a little cautious with this one. It's certainly not as rigid as the rest because it is so small. And then we've got our Jose Canseco bats here. I did pay for these, so we've got, what, 6 different weapons for Casey, including, of course, the bag, and they all go in there really well. I mean, they just sit in there perfectly. I was really concerned that they weren't all going to fit, and then they just sort of slid right in. So you've got all of those, and then we've got a smattering of extra hands. So you've got a set of gripping hands, because he comes with fists in the box. Then there's another set of gripping hands, and I'm not really sure if these are supposed to be slightly different. They seem really similar, so I'm not sure if they're just supposed to be extras or not, but, who knows? There you go. Then you've got a pointing right finger hand, and then you've got kind of a cupped hand almost for his left. So you can put the slice of pizza in it, and we do get a piece of pizza with this particular release because it's a turtle set. And then for Raph, we have not as much, but he still comes with quite a bit. So you've got the hat, which I absolutely love, and I think this might stay on my figure for the duration. It's got a hole in the back for the bandana to peg into, and as you can see, I've got another bandana in there, so he's got two different ones. You've got this one right here that he comes with, so this goes down and it tucks into his jacket. Then you've got this one here, and then you've got this one. So these are two kind of windswept bandanas. So you got two replacement bandanas, and then you've got his size, which of course are here, and you can put them on his belt. So we've seen these before. Great size, no pun intended, in terms of scale to the figure, and then they fit right there. And then we've got some extra hands. So we have got two open palm hands, so you can use these for pizza if you need to. He does have gripping hands on him in the box. And then you've got two of these kind of style pose hands that you can use when he's holding his size in a more battle ready posture. So these guys come with a ton of stuff, really. I mean, again, it was more than I expected. I expected a lot, and they still kind of exceeded my expectations. I love all the details on Casey's weapons. They are really well done. They all have a nice paint job to them. They've all got logos on them. They've all got the tape all over them and like the wood grain on the weapons that need it, of course. So, I mean, there's really not more that you can ask for in this set without getting an actual second unmasked head sculpt. So at the end of the day, you're not really going to get any complaints out of me in terms of what comes in this box. And then as far as size comparisons go, just to give you an idea of what these two look like, not only next to each other, but with other figures. So we've got the two of them there, so you can see that Casey is, of course, taller than Raph, and by comparison, all other turtles. He is a slightly bit taller than the foot soldiers as well, or the foot ninja, as far as this line goes. And then for some other stuff, here he is next to a Power Ranger from the Lightning Collection, so our Time Red Ranger. You can see that these obviously don't really scale at all. And then you've got Snake Eyes from the Classified line. More of the same, really. And then we've got Skeletor from Motu Classics. He's more in line with that because this is more of like a 7-inch style of figure. So you can get an idea of what he looks like with a few other random things in and out of its own scale. So Casey is going to work really, really well among your larger style of figures. And then, of course, the turtles can kind of work among other things, but they still scale a little bit on the big side as well. So at the end of the day, I think we've got a really solid set. I will mention now, because I'm pretty sure I didn't mention it before, no heat was needed on either of these figures when I was posing them around. I took the risk, and I wanted to see how they were right out of the box. No issues. Everything moved exactly like it was supposed to. Honestly, a little too good. I was very surprised by Casey. But these figures do work really well. They both move pretty well, although Casey does, of course, have some hindrances because of his construction. He does move pretty well. I've still had not too many issues getting him posed nicely. The figures look, however, they look just perfect. Casey and Raph came out so much better than I expected. I mean, Casey looks like he jumped right out of the screen, and Raph is just a different take on an already fantastic figure, and the soft goods on him are pretty superb. Not to mention the fact that these guys come with a tremendous array of accessories. Again, the only thing that could take this set over the edge is if we got a second unmasked head for Casey, and at this point it seems like it's coming, so I'm not really going to fault it there. If you haven't already, you need to try to get this set. Go to Walmart, stock the online listing for it, try to get your hands on this set because you will definitely not be disappointed. So that's going to do it for this look at the NECA Toys TMNT Casey Jones and Raph in Disguise 2-pack. Let me know what you guys think. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and share, and until next time.